We met during a chance encounter in Greece on one of the islands that I was visiting for less than 24
It was
hours.
a summer that was meant to change my entire life.
It's funny because you don't know when you meet someone what they're going to mean to your life. But we talked all night into the next morning and we didn't miss a day since that summer night on Paros.
Yeah? I can see it, don't worry.
There we go. Live from Paris, Latin Quarter. Monakimo, are you ready? Say it again.
I love you.
I love you, baby.
Congratulations on your new job, Nigel.
Thank you.
I hope you liked it.
I did. It was good today. Yeah,
Good. More like what you're used to doing, right?
more like what I'm used to doing, which is I've
That's
worked
nice.
with furniture for 17 years. So yeah, I'm back working with furniture again.
Okay, that's nice.
That's important. Yeah, thank you guys for doing this. I'll try to make it fast so you guys can go home and everything. Fine. Okay. We'll take our time, then we can leave the parking lot on. Okay, so can I start off with you guys? Well, I really wanted to bring you guys on first because you're our close friends, and also kind of a really cool story through and through. You went through the whole immigration process, and it was actually really fast during the time of COVID, even faster than people's records without COVID. So we'll get into like all of the immigration details, but could you just tell us how you both met and the first time you met in person, where it was? I was so sorry. You want to go first? Story. No.
I don't have a notebook. We met on a Facebook group. Something based on curvy ladies and beastly beards, something along those lines.
I love how niche that is. It's like so specific. It really was.
What was the actual name?
It was like curvy women love bearded men or something like that. I don't know.
Beastly beards, wasn't it?
How did you guys? Well, how long were you guys on that group for before you met each other?
Well, it wasn't that long because we started talking in February. I only started
like November.
Yeah, November maybe.
Is when he got on. I joined the group in like December because I was trying to find different groups to I was like being a distributor for a health supplement, and so I was working on growing my business. I was not even in there trying to look for anybody or anything. And yeah. The groups do different kind of interaction posts, and I don't even remember which first post it was, but I think it was like if you want to hear somebody's voice, then like their name. So you commented, I commented my name and he commented his, and you said where you're from, and if people wanted to hear what your voice sounded like, they would like your name, and you would have to send them a voice clip. Oh, cool. And then we both sent each other voice clips, and yeah, I fell in love with his accent. I love that. I like how you went on the group and you were trying to be like, very entrepreneurial, and then you found your husband. Yeah, I'm not really that great at doing that sort of stuff. So especially that particular supplement, I was like, oh man, I'm bad at this. I'm horrible. But I ended up making a lot of friends, and we even still have some mutual friends from the group. And I got him. That's most important. And the one thing that kind of turned the tables for us is on Valentine's Day, I sent him a Valentine, just as a friendly little happy Valentine's. It had Tinkerbell on it, and I love Tinkerbell. And like for him, he'd never gotten a Valentine's before, so that was kind of a big deal to him. And I was in the process of kind of rebuilding myself and who I was and where I was. I had lost my job. I was doing volunteer through the county to get experience in a different field and build my resume. And I ended up getting a job with the county. And so all through this, he's like talking to me throughout the day, just building a real genuine like friendship and relationship and being there for each other. He was going through some stuff and ended up moving home with his parents. The day I was going through orientation at the county, his mom passed away. And he messaged me in my orientation. He's like, my mom just passed away. So we were definitely there for each other during really tough times. And his mom passing, I think, really kind of pushed him. He's like, hey, do you want to actually video chat? Because we hadn't video chatted to that point. It was just like messaging or like sending voice clips through Facebook Messenger. And sorry, thinking about his mom, like got me a little emotional. It was because of her. It was like, okay, let's actually video chat. And then our first video chat lasted 6 hours or 6.5 hours.
And it was doing it in the nighttime for me because of the 8-hour difference.
I was going to ask, what was the time?
For net, but mine went through the night. I was up till like 4 in.
He was off though because he was on bereavement time.
Yeah, he was off from work, so.
Know about that difference.
And we had a couple of those, and it was just like literally, I think 2 weeks after we had our first video chat, I'm like, okay, I'm coming at Christmas. I booked my flight. I said, worst case scenario, I'll spend, I was going to book a hotel and just spend time there, seeing the sights and just being, because I love to travel. So it didn't bother me no matter what happened. If it didn't work out, I was going to have a great time at Christmas while my daughter was at her dad's.
Okay, so that is such a good story. You got the time differences that I wanted to ask you about, and then keeping in touch. So was it all just primarily like video chatting and voice clips?
We use, I guess occasionally we use Snapchat, occasionally we use Instagram, just depending on which social media platform is actually working or worked the best.
Yep.
But majority, I would say Facebook Messenger was probably the way we, had video chats and just talked that way. Thank goodness for social media. That's the way that things were free, because that would have been expensive phone calls.
We primarily use Facebook.
And then just, messaging on Facebook Messenger throughout the day and, doing cutesy little posts or the fun little Snapchats with our emojis and whatnot. And then, so that was May of 2018 that I booked the flight, and we were like, okay, and as the countdown went, we got closer and more like, I don't know. I told a friend, I guess, in May, shortly after I booked my flight, that, you know what, this is the man I'm going to marry. And I was like, I don't know how, or why, but I just know this is the man I'm going to marry.
Uh-huh.
So that whole time, I say we missed maybe 5 or 6 days total between May until December.
Uh-huh.
Of video chats, and that was because I had meetings and there's the time difference didn't work out, or he had to go to bed early, or whatever the case was. But most of the time we would chat on my lunch break between 12 and 1, so that would be his between 8 and 9 before he was going to bed. Well, you guys know this, but just in case, I'm like, the time difference. And then, I flew out in December, like 5 days before Christmas. We went to different parts. I flew directly into Wales at that time. I wanted to just be there and not have to do the bus ride from London, because I wasn't very sure of myself and like trying to find the right way to get to where I needed to go. So I was just like, extra money, it's fine. I'll fly directly there.
Uh-huh.
And we went to Berry Island. We went to Cardiff and Caerphilly Castle, and we went to go see where he worked at the time, and went to the movie theaters there for a little date, plus stopped at a university not far from his work for Lex for a school project she was doing, to get like information and whatnot for her. So that was fun to do together, although I really hated the hills there. um, met his family. That was a little nerve wracking.
Oh, I'm sure.
I actually, funny enough, did not meet his son that time when I went out for the interview. I actually got to meet his son then, and his son had his own things he was going through. So it was really kind of weird because when it came time for us to get married, only his sisters and then his daughter came out for the wedding. His dad watched over video chat. My nephew literally held my phone and video chatted with his dad, showing him the whole ceremony. So
I love those details because it's like that's what happens with international relationships. One side is not going to be completely there. Like both of our sides were not completely at ours, and like he was the only one at ours from his side. So,
so I didn't meet his son then, and I did not want to leave. Oh my gosh, I bawled like the whole way home. New Year's sucked. I didn't want to. He was coming out in February, so 2 years ago, like around this time, he actually flew home. But he was coming out in February. But it was enough that we were apart, and I was like, oh, I hate this. I don't want to even leave you.
mm-hmm.
And we were both bawling like babies at the airport. But we managed. And then he came out in February to go with me and Lex to her cheer competition in Vegas. He met my family. We spent I say lots of time together, but I mean 10 days, as much as you can in 10 days, but we packed a lot in. Mm-hmm. He proposed. He asked my dad for my hand before we left for Vegas, and he proposed in Vegas on the zip line while we're flying like Superman.
Everybody that ever listens to this needs to take a note from Nigel on how to propose and make it a grand gesture. Ooh. And that yes, I didn't know you had
He actually he didn't like
It was my birthday when before we even met. And they had sent me a voucher for the tattoo, and I had it done before we met.
That was his birthday present. And it was so funny because I had no idea he was carrying the ring around with him all day at the cheer competition. And then when we met my mom and aunt afterwards, like he wasn't sure when. He knew he wanted to do it, but he wasn't sure when or how. And we got delayed because they filled up on the time slot we were supposed to go on the zip line. And then we went a little bit later. So I guess, and I didn't realize it, but he was acting a little strange now that I think about it. And at one point I grabbed his jacket, and I guess he freaked out because he thought I was going to figure out the ring was in his pocket. But it was funny because I got off first, just the way the inertia, the zip line and everything. He yelled over to me, and I'm kind of like, what? And I'm afraid of falling. It's not so much that I'm afraid of heights, I'm afraid of falling. So I was really focused, and I was like kind of watching. It was that night. It was fun, but I still was like, oh my God, please don't let this harness snap. And he hollered at me, and I'm just like, what? And he was like, will you marry me? I'm like, oh my God, are you serious right now? And so I didn't even really answer at first. And I'm crying when they're getting me out of the harness. And this photographer takes pictures of you at the end, and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, he just proposed. And she's like, oh my God, I think we've actually had somebody propose on the zip line. They have couples that go down it after they get married. But she's like, why didn't you tell anybody? We would have like videoed or something. He couldn't like give it away, but I was like, oh, we'll just put the because you can have the helmet cam. And we put it on Lexi. Well, Lexi was so light. She was so far behind us, but it didn't catch it.
Well, cool.
She
to be the only one that proposed while on the zip line.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Okay, so you mentioned Wales, though. Let me walk back. So people don't know this, but like Welsh is its own language, right?
Yes.
Did you have English there though? His family, Nigel, your family speaks English as well, or are they just all Welsh speaking?
English.
Okay, got it.
They predominantly speak Welsh in the north. Sorry for the bad lighting. We're starting to get sun went down. It was really pretty, but we lost our light. They predominantly speak Welsh more so in the north. They do learn it in school. So he knows some in Welsh.
I know basics, but I can't speak it fluently.
Oh, got it.
I can pick up bits. If someone says something to me, I can pick bits up and understand kind of, but I couldn't answer or speak back Welsh.
That sounds like me with Hawaiian or any language really, but yeah.
Well, and it's a very difficult language because it's not Latin based. It's more of a Gaelic based language. And so literally you can't even try to like sound it out. There's no sounding this language out. I downloaded an app to start practicing and learning certain things, and it's a challenge. So like I can say a few things like good morning, good night.
Say them, man.
No,
Why not?
because I'm not confident in saying it yet.
Oh, give me one
Um,
example. Like
Good morning.
good morning. What is good morning?
Boreda.
Boreda.
Yeah. And then good night is nosta.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Good afternoon. I don't remember that one.
Canada.
What?
Canada.
Okay. What he said. That's good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll say I've never heard that in my life, and then we just don't get that on this side. You know, we don't hear it at all.
And then welcome is croeso, right?
Yeah.
Croeso. And then the way you say Wales in Welsh is Cymru.
Camry.
Cymru.
But it looks like,
Cymru.
or it sounds like Camry, like Toyota Camry, kind of. So that's how I remember that one.
Okay, so how did you guys both decide to live together in the US? Because I know you guys eventually want to end up back in Wales, but what made you decide to come to the US first?
So I really wanted to move there. That is what I wanted. And I guess in my stubborn thinking I could do anything, I wanted to go there and that's what was going to happen.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my daughter's father was basically kind of like over my dead body, you're going to take her anywhere. So my amazing husband was like, well, I don't care where I have to be. I want to be with you. You know, his son just turned 26. His daughter just turned 18. So they're basically grown for better sakes and purposes. I mean, they graduate high school over there. Well, our high school. They're done with that at 16 and can move into college and stuff like that at 16, or they can stay in longer, go to university and stuff like that. But she was done and went off to like horse school when she was 16. And so it was kind of like his kids were already grown or going to be doing their own thing. He was ready for something new. Hopefully 8 to 10 years we'll be going that way, and I cannot wait. And that'll be another immigration story I can tell.
Hopefully it's easier going that way. That's what I've heard. But we will see.
It looks like it.
It looks like we don't have to wait and be apart, you know, that kind of thing. Like waiting.
And you can actually pay to expedite it and whatnot. So it's not the long process that we had here.
Yeah.
In fact, I wanted to cry, I think, when I read up on it. If I read everything correctly and understood it, I'm like, seriously? And everything we have to go through to get them here is just, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, we did it ourselves, both of us, but it's like everyone keeps throwing out, it takes a year, just expect a year, at least a year, that kind of thing. It's hard when you like, it's hard to be apart when you just want to be together. So do you remember your priority date?
January 23rd of 2020. So he came out for Christmas to spend a big old Christmas with my family. And literally we sent it off the morning he went back home. And so it went pretty quick because, you know, I sent it to Arizona. I did a paper application because I was concerned at that point. There was a lot of people saying there were glitches with submitting online. They didn't get the whole packet or documentation or whatever they were trying to submit. And that made me very nervous. And I wasn't quite into all the groups yet. And I definitely hadn't heard of Visa Journey yet, which I felt like that was a bad sign. I wish I had that from the start. But I did a lot of research and I was like, okay, I'm just going to send the paper application, whatever, we'll go from there. I did actually get a response fairly quickly. Like I sent it with confirmation through USPS, and I got the confirmation on Monday, I think, or something, that it had been picked up by somebody. And then it seemed like the very next day I got notification that, we had our date and stuff like that and our number. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This is good. And, that's when I found out I got, I guess being naive at that point, found out we got Texas. And I was excited because that was one of the faster ones at that point. I was like, okay, it won't take that long. This isn't going to be agony till I see him again. And then I want to say February. Was it February when I did all those shifts?
They started playing musical chairs probably like right around the time of the lockdown. It was like Texas went to California.
Okay.
And like yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I think because at the very beginning of March, like this time last year, I noticed movement on my case, but they couldn't tell me. They swore it was still at Texas. And then after like 2 or 3 phone calls, because the stupid online help person thing was not very helpful and couldn't tell me that my case moved, but it did. It got moved to Nebraska. I was devastated because Nebraska, and I think there's one other that were the slowest at that point. And I'm like, of all places, the slowest ones. The lady tried to comfort me and tell me, oh, that doesn't really matter because we upload your stuff. And she tried to comfort me and tell me, oh, anybody can see it. It's been uploaded to our database, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean that's who's going to process it. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. It's still going to be forever and a day. I'm never going to see this man again. I was a little over dramatic at that point, but not too far because Nigel was scheduled, well, about the same time you were supposed to come out, I think, Fabian, to the US around the lockdown time. And I think you were slated originally for the 20th. And then when you called to tell me or messaged me about the lockdown, I was like, oh my gosh. So I immediately called the airline and they moved him up they wanted to move him up to the 15th, but he had already gone to work. There was no way I could pull him home and get him ready in time. So they flew out on the 17th or the 16th, something like that.
Yeah, you told me on the Monday and I flew out on the Tuesday.
Right.
And I got the week off previous.
Yeah.
From work.
Yeah, because it was like basically we discovered this and had a crisis on Monday night or something, or Sunday, Monday, whatever. Yeah. So Nigel and Fabian got on basically like the last planes coming out of the UK to the US, or at least to California.
You get on a plane.
Oh yeah, and then Nigel, even worse. Like,
yeah,
they canceled the ESTAs. Remember, you and I were on the phone, I think, the night before. They canceled the ESTAs. I was panicking. He still had a copy of his just in case, saying that it was valid, even though if they looked the system. I paid for the new one.
Yeah.
Just in case. And still, I don't think that made a difference because I think they canceled that one too.
No, I think.
He said the only saving grace that got him through was having a copy of my passport. Didn't even look at the marriage certificate. It was my passport. Wow. But he still missed the first plane he was supposed to fly on. I think he was supposed to fly out an hour after Fabian, and they wouldn't let him board the plane. Him and this other couple. But then they ended up boarding, but he was still held back.
I watched my plane take off.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I'm panicking from work because they're talking about moving us to remote work. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And he's like, I still haven't gotten on my flight. He did not come in until 8 o'clock at night. At 11 o'clock at night, I'm still waiting for him to come out, and I'm panicked. He got held in immigration, and he spent 4 hours.
No phone and no time.
Yeah, they won't let them access their phones. He can just see all the other passports, but his getting picked up.
I had no track of time. There was no clock on the wall or anything. I didn't know.
I ran the ladies at one of the security that are there when, like, where you guys came out. I asked them, I said, look, my husband was supposed to have landed. We never have reception, so I don't know if he has. it's been like almost 4 hours. And they're like, oh, well, there's immigration. You can go check with them on the second level. So if you go to where departures are, and then if you're looking at like the boards, like towards the restaurant and whatnot, it's in the far left corner underneath where you can go up expedited on the TSA check. And I went over there. The lady was rude as all get out. I'm upset and she's being rude to me. And she's like, well, you're just going to have to wait. So I went back down there. It was so funny. There was this couple waiting for their daughter. And I said, excuse me, if you see this bearded man, and I'm showing a picture of him on my phone, can you please just let him know I went to immigration to go find out what's going on? Because I was worried I was going to miss him because I was there by myself. And so finally I get a call from a 323 number or something like that. And I'm like, who is this? So I answered it, and it's immigration officer saying that Nigel's there at immigration. He's almost done. He has to fill out some paperwork. So after all that, they gave him a 6-month like visitor visa stamp in his passport, which he almost took full advantage of. He was here almost 4 months with the lockdown because he was furloughed
At least that
from work. And
at least that they did for you, for that experience.
I don't know how I would have survived without that, to be perfectly honest. It was interesting though. We had never lived together. So that was a new experience for us, having him here all the time. I was working from home, so that was an adjustment. And he was there like basically spoiling me. Every morning he'd like make my coffee, get me something to eat, and get me ready for the day, and just be kind of sitting there chilling in the background while I worked. Because we couldn't go anywhere, but at least we had each other. And so he was here in March. We still hadn't heard anything, and I was getting antsy. So there was somebody who said on one of the groups about filing that, what is it, the fiance or the spousal visa or something like that. Do you remember which one that is?
Yeah, basically it's, I forget which form it is, but basically you file the fiance visa to try to trigger the process of the spousal visa to go through faster. And
right, it's kind of an obsolete thing that you apply for now, but everybody was saying, oh, once I sent that in. So we decided and we did that, and literally a week later, they hadn't even acknowledged that they had received that petition, and literally a week later we got our notice, and so it was like the second week of May that our petition was approved. I'm like, well, that was a waste of money and time because they didn't even get it to even trigger anything. So whatever, it is what it is. That was the second week of May. As soon as we got that, we immediately ordered the police report because I was nervous about it expiring before he actually got here. And I think that's one that you told me that thankfully for those groups, I met a lot of people, but I always can't remember who told me what. And sometimes I saw things more than once. But so we got the police report fairly quickly. We had one copy sent here and we had one copy sent there to his house, his dad's house, so that we both had a copy in both places just in case. His sister actually took a picture of it when it got to their house because it got there first. And she sent it to me, and that's what I uploaded when we did our visa application. So we submitted that part 1st of June, I think, or 2nd of June, something like that. It was very first week in June. And then by the end of June, that was approved.
Okay, so basically you submitted the agency side at the beginning of June, and then you got DQ'd by the end of June.
Yeah, we were ready to move on. So literally, I think it was that day. It was either June 30th or like July 1st. I sent my expedite request. Oh, that's right. I got denied in March for an expedite request with USCIS. But then, okay, I was like, I'll try. Like everybody said, it's much easier. It's the next step with the visa center. Why am I totally blanking now? And so with them, they approved it, and it took 2 weeks. Yeah, I got notification within a week of me submitting it saying we received your request, we'll review it. Literally 1 week later, I got a response saying it was approved. Our expedite was approved. And all I did was follow that format that circulated through the various groups and whatnot.
Mhm.
I said, my husband and I want to actually spend our birthdays together. We want him here for Christmas. And I forgot what else I said. But I mean, it wasn't anything super special, but it was special and meaningful to us. And I wanted him here. And I couldn't believe that they approved it.
So this was the expedite request to interview, right? This is that one.
To get pushed over to the embassy at that point. And that's who it was sent to, because our visa application was already approved.
Yeah.
So it was, the expedite to get pushed over to the embassy sooner and get our interview expedited. So another friend that I made, and this is kind of the key point where I'm like, okay, this had to have been the kind of the turning point. Her and I had the exact same timeline. She turned her letter the exact same day requesting expedite. She got approved the exact same day as we did. Mm-hmm. They got a letter or an email before we did, saying that this is what you do to schedule your interview and whatnot. Mm-hmm. She shared that with me, and it had the website on it. Obviously, using our stuff, I went to that website.
Yeah.
Later on, after I scheduled, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it let me schedule, but they haven't notified us, but it let me schedule. Hey, do you think it would let me schedule if we really weren't allowed to schedule? No, it couldn't be. So it was kind of like a crapshoot, because by that point he had gone home. So he went back July 11th. I think we were approved the 14th for the expedite. And then they got their letter around the 20th. And so I tried it, and it let me register everything. So I asked them, I was like, okay, is August okay? Do you have a problem with that? And he's like, nope. Okay, cool. Well, I'm scheduling for this. And I'm like, is it gonna reject it? Am I gonna get this thing? Oh, I'm sorry, you can't do this. It's too soon. We haven't notified you or something. I'm telling you, we never ever received any communication at all. And maybe that's because we went on and scheduled, so they never sent it. But we never received anything to actually tell us go online and schedule.
Same with us.
So I'm very thankful to the other couple who shared that, because I don't think we would have gotten it. I really don't. I don't see how we would have, because you guys said you never got it either. Yeah. So I think Fabian had his appointment first for medical, and then Nigel.
Yeah, it's before me.
That's right. And so we kind of knew what to expect. Thank you to you guys. We sent him to his primary care doctor to go get vaccines, which they still argued with us on one, and we still ended up paying for one more. But it is what it is. And it was something really dumb. It's one of the ones from childhood that you get, and even the doctors here said, I don't know why they made you get that. I'm like, oh.
I don't remember. I just remember that they told me that I was missing two, I think.
Like polio.
And
polio or
two, I
something.
think. And
Yeah,
then
that one.
I said
3 in 1.
Yeah, I said
Polio, hepatitis, and diphtheria.
yeah.
Right.
Go on.
No, and just because he was like, I don't remember. I was a child. I don't.
Yeah,
know.
I said I cannot remember. I was a child on that time, and they said I said, okay, how much it is to diagnose that I did it or not, and then they said it's $60, 60 pounds or 50 pounds, and then they told me if you are diagnosed that you're missing it, then you have to pay 50 more to be counted. I said, okay, in case that I have it, and you do it to me, what's gonna happen? They said, what's the side effects? They said, not something important. Don't worry. Maybe you have for one night fever or something like that. I said, okay, just do it then. And that's all.
And that's kind of what. So the doctor gave him the one for They gave you polio vaccine, but they wouldn't give you the Tdap. Yeah, the Tdap is the one he had to get at the embassy. They went ahead and gave him the polio, but they said the Tdap, because that's normally what you get when you're a kid, they weren't going to give it again. And I'm like, well, but the embassy is saying that, okay, whatever. Yeah, so more money we had to pay, but
it's more at the embassy.
And it wasn't bad. We had it. We made it work. people can go with whatever their belief is. Either it was a blessing, it was the Lord, it was, good karma. I don't know. Call it whatever it is that you want to call it or believe it is. But I honestly, I calculated it. It's 7 months and 1 week from the day that we were accepted that he was here in the U.S. Our interview was August 20th, 19th, something like that. 19th or 20th.
Yeah, stuff was my
And it was a week after, right? So yeah, then
my medical was the 12th. Yeah.
And that was another thing. Did your guys' medical results get lost on the way to the embassy?
No, ours was pretty spaced out enough. But yeah, I remember your
Okay. So ours, along with the other couple that we met at the interview, him and Aaron had their medical the same day, an hour apart, and both of their medical results kind of held up initially one day, but we just called the doctor and said, look, your file didn't get received. They're saying that they don't have the medical results. Okay, we'll courier that over today. Well, that was on Friday. The interview was Thursday. That was on Friday. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to hear anything till Monday, but I'm still chomping at the bit. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden on the following Monday, we got the notification that his visa was being shipped out through the courier. I'm like, whoa, what?
Wow.
And we literally had the passport with the visa on Tuesday. So that was pretty awesome because we had it delivered to the house. And then we were...
Oh, we were at work.
Yeah, you were at work. And so you came home. He came home from work and I had to wait the whole time until he got home to open it. I so bad wanted to see it.
Sorry, really quickly, Nigel, do you remember what they asked you at the interview and how fast it was?
Not much.
Yeah, same.
Hello, what's
we got
like 3 questions maybe.
3 questions.
How did we meet?
Yeah, how did you meet? Didn't he ask what I do over here?
Yeah, what does your wife do for a living?
Mm-hmm. And was it like how soon you're gonna go or something like that?
How soon do you want to go to the USA? And I said as soon as possible.
Yeah, okay.
And that was it. There was 3 questions. I think that's all it was.
We got there half an hour, 20 minutes early, took a couple pictures in front of the embassy, and then they said, oh, you guys can just come in. The security was really nice. It was airport type check real quick, and in they went, and I think, did Aaron come out before you, or you came out before? You came out before Aaron. And he's just all smiles, so I knew he was approved. But of course he came out and it was like, oh, but I'm like, no but, and it was it was the stupid medical. He's like, but they should have it. They've already called us. I said, no, I'm calling when we get back to the hotel.
Yeah, sounds like me.
And anybody who is going to go to London that doesn't live in the vicinity, we definitely recommend the Travel Lodge in Vauxhall. It was literally like a 5-10 minute walk. 10 because I wore ridiculously high shoes. That was just dumb of me. But it would have been a 5-minute walk.
Vauxhall with Victoria Line.
Yeah.
Just with underground over there.
So
it's just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's right by the underground of the buses. Yeah.
There's a Starbucks right there. They had really good food in the hotel. It was clean. The shower was a little small, but if anybody has to travel and needs to stay in London, the best spot is the Travel Lodge in Vauxhall because it's literally around the corner from there.
Just don't get a cab from the airport to there.
Oh God, yeah. If you're flying in or have to come from like the airport area,
use the subway.
Use one of the buses that run from the airport to like Victoria Station, and then take the tube from there to Vauxhall. We spent like 100 and something pounds.
£102
for the taxi from the airport to the hotel. Because the Vauxhall Bridge was closed, the traffic sucked, and we had to go past Vauxhall Bridge and come around. I'm like, all right, it's like LA.
I wonder if that was during the time too where they stopped a bunch of their bus lines because of COVID, right? They had cut down some buses or whatever.
Yeah, a bit.
Oh, yeah, that was another thing. When I got in, we actually my actual luggage bag didn't make it to London. Thankfully, I packed some items
That's
in
right.
my carry-on, and my luggage we saved on that spot because we didn't have to pay extra luggage to put on the bus. It got delivered directly to Dad's house in Wales.
Oh,
So luckily I had enough for the interview and a change of clothes to be on the bus ride home to Dad's. But other than that, I didn't have my luggage and I was panicking when I got to the airport. I didn't need makeup. I didn't need any of that. It was fine.
that was secondary to what was actually going on. Yeah. Okay, so what kind of tips would you give to couples who are going through the immigration process?
In my personal experience, Visa Journey, I feel like is a must. That has so many good resources and so many good suggestions as far as these are the documents that you need. This would be helpful. I feel like a lot of what I submitted, even though it was along what they suggested, was still not really needed. Somehow it was enough to prove our relationship, but we definitely sent more than we probably needed to. But that was my fear, that I wasn't going to have enough to prove it's legit in this day and age where you have things like, no bashing, but certain reality shows about immigration and whatnot in relationships. It kind of brings into question the legitimacy of our relationships with our spouses. And I think it's unfair, but that's a whole nother story. So I felt like I had to do more to prove that it's real and that he wasn't just coming here to come to the US or, just marrying me to do that type deal. Don't get discouraged. There's going to be so many times. Make friends. I'm very thankful for our friendship and the other friends that we made because it was them that and you that I was able to lean on and not go nuts during the process. The groups, honestly, I think I would have been much better off if I just stuck to Visa Journey and not even done the groups, but I'm thankful because that's how I met you and the other friends. But I didn't really need the group, to be honest. If anything, it stressed me out even more because other people don't do their research, and I'm meticulous. I'm very detail oriented. And I think that helped in making sure we had everything. And I researched it going into it before actually starting the process and making sure we had everything lined up or what we needed to know that we had to do when it came to that point, like for instance, the police report. So I think just having supportive family, knowing what you're going to have to do and go through, be prepared for that as best you can with, like your channel or, the Visa Journey website. Those are important. We even brought a huge album to the embassy. We did not need to, but it had like all of our pictures from the wedding and whatnot. But we didn't need to. But I would have rather have had it in case they asked because I guess in the past. Are you serious?
There's 400 photos in that album.
Oh my God.
He did that. Yeah.
Look at you.
I was scared because people did say in the past that they asked for those pictures or they asked. And again, every embassy is different too. And some embassies are asking or requiring that. So I was like, well, I don't know. I have to prepare for the worst. And then it seemed like it just was a smooth ride because we did that. Well, as smooth as it could be with the few bumps that we encountered along the way.
Yeah, I think actually in this scenario, more is better. At least you have your bases covered and everything for anything submission wise or showing up at the embassy. And how is life together now that you're in the US?
It's great, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've enjoyed my my time off work, obviously, but back to work today. I've had 2 previous jobs and they didn't go the way I wanted them to go. So I think I've fallen into the right job now.
Yay! Third time's the charm.
My mentality for it was, people come to America to live the American dream, and I know that since the age of 15 or 16, he's been working. So why not get to a point where you're at a job that you love? I know the job he left in the UK. He loved what he did, but he didn't like the company and where it got to. And so I noticed when he started coming home from the first couple of jobs, I'm like, well, the first job, I was like, oh, man, he's tired all the time. And they were working him like 14-hour days almost every single day.
Between 8 and 10 hours a day.
And, so the turnaround between getting up, going to work, working like 8, 10, 12 hours and then coming home, it's like a 14-hour day or more. And it's just like, he just wanted to sleep. And I'm like, that's not good quality of life. But so, sorry. I told him, you know what? This is your chance to do something that you love. It's something you want to be doing like the next 8 to 10 years or so while we're here. It's fine. The second job, it was a safety issue with COVID and then the machines that were going on because there were so many employees not following the rules and whatnot. So a bunch of them were have to quarantine. I'm like, look, we'll figure it out and look for something that you really want to do and love. So now he's here doing this. So I'm thankful for that. We've decided we don't want to buy a house because we are going to be moving in 8 to 10 years to go back that way, and it's just going to be a hassle. We want to save up and start building our house over there because I need an American home in Wales. Basically, is what it's going to be. I guess I'm too spoiled.
It's the best job to do.
Okay, well, couple more questions then. What is your favorite thing
Okay.
an international couple?
The differences between us.
Hmm.
Not the differences between us. The difference in cultures.
Right.
I mean, we're learning each other's cultures.
So I don't know if you've seen the couple. It's like she's American from LA. She's a blonde. I can't think of their names right now. And he's from London somewhere, I think. And they have a little boy, and their video circulated on Facebook quite a few times. But they go back and forth like, my purse. He's all, no, your bag or whatever. And so the differences in like the terms, they go back and forth. I'll have to find the video and send it to you. I crack up every time because literally. Oh yeah, courgette and what's the courgette here? I forget. Eggplant. Okay, so it's just back and forth of that. So yeah, I'm the same with him. Like the difference in the culture is like I'll just literally he'll keep saying no, it's this, and I'm like no, we say that.
The bonnet and the boot of a car.
Is the hood and the trunk of a car. But that's the difference. So literally.
How do they call what?
Bonnet and the boots.
Nike or Nike?
Oh yeah. How do you guys say the swoosh? Just do it. That brand.
Nike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He says Nike.
Not Nike.
And I say Nike. Nike.
No, it's Nike. It's Nike.
Oh, but you guys, in Greece,
Nike,
where it comes from, it's actually Nike. So
yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like you call Diaz, you call
she's
the
but you're right. There's
oh my gosh. So yeah.
From each other.
And then we love trying even
different foods.
Yeah, different foods together.
Yes.
And I feel like he's more open to that than people I've dated in the past. I mean, if I've dated somebody who's of a different culture, then yes, they're usually pretty open to trying things. But I love that we can do that. And not only his culture or my culture, but like in the journey to try and find a good oh, why am I blanking?
Talking about kebabs.
Kebab, yeah, there we go.
Kebab.
In trying to find the right kebab that he knows and that I've tried now and absolutely love, we've actually tried some interesting different types of food and restaurants. So that's actually kind of fun. He's just not super big on like jalapenos and super spicy stuff. He's gotten a little better since we first started dating, but that's definitely one thing that's not really his forte. My brother-in-law is Cambodian, so my sister and brother-in-law kind of cook a little spicier, so we're breaking him in a little bit. I love that. I love learning about the Welsh culture and even just things that go differently in the UK. That's probably one of the things that I love about anything international cultures, whether it's ours or even like seeing my sister with her husband who's from Cambodia. I think that's pretty amazing. And when you also mesh your cultures, when it comes to having kids and being your own family unit, I think it's a really beautiful thing to see that and what it becomes.
Totally agree. Yeah. Okay. And then last question then. If you guys watch 90 Fiancé, Annette, I know you do. do you have a favorite couple?
I got into it as well.
Yeah, he did.
They
Um,
watched it and they.
Favorite couple? I don't know.
I'm trying to think.
My favorite character was Ed.
Oh, I don't know why you liked Ed.
No, not frog.
So wrong. I can't stand that guy. See, and I was like the season before that I really got into when him and I were dating, and so I'm trying to think of the couples that I watched. Yeah, some actually did. Like,
oh, the ones with the babies. You like that couple, you know?
oh, I do, and I actually never watched them. The guy from Israel and the girl from Florida. I
Oh,
can't think of their names right now, but they have the new baby boy.
yeah, Lord.
I absolutely adore them.
She got what's the mother's got the disease?
Oh, Tourette.
Is it Tourette?
It's Tourette.
Yeah,
She has a
alright.
very mild form of Tourette. So I thought that was interesting because I didn't know that was like could be a thing, that you can have a very mild form of it.
Mhm.
So yeah, actually, I kind of like watching it because you definitely learn more about cultures and people's different situations. I really liked Avery and
When she went to
or sh-
Australia,
no. Went to
New Zealand.
no, not that one.
You're talking about the one where she married the Omar.
She became a Muslim, and yeah, and they're in. Oh, they're not in his country because that right now has a lot of war, or was having. I'm not really up to date on world things.
He's from Syria, I think, but they live in Lebanon or something like that.
Syria, yes. And they live in, or they were living in Lebanon. I haven't been on Instagram a lot lately, so I don't know where they're at in their process. And I even liked Rebecca and what's his name from Tunisia.
Yeah, Rebecca and Zia.
I
like them too.
I don't know why, but I felt like I follow a few, and it was actually funny. I didn't really care for Darcy, but for some reason I thought Tom was kind of cool. Maybe it's because he was from England. So it was kind of interesting, the different things that he liked. And so I actually do follow him on Instagram, and I commented on one of his posts because about the same time that lockdown was happening, he was trying to come here or get into the US before things shut. And I said, my husband, his flight got canceled, under the comments. And he actually commented back and liked some of my comments. I was like, oh my gosh, fangirl moment. No. But he kind of responded to some of my comments. I thought that was pretty cool. And then I know on Instagram a couple times I follow them. I'm really bad with all their names. There's just too many couples. The one, she's from like Pennsylvania, and then her husband is in South Africa, and he was trying to come, but they were having some issues with his background.
Oh,
and she has a son from before, and then they have a daughter.
Yes, I like that couple too. Tiffany and Ron.
Right, there we go.
As far as
she knows everything. Knows.
I'm now the glossary.
Yeah,
So it's funny because the way I even got into that show is every time I told a coworker at the county that my boyfriend lives in the UK, oh, it's like 90 Day Fiance. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
So I ended up watching it.
I know, that's the problem.
While we were dating, actually. Yeah, and it was nerve-wracking because here I am watching the show before I'm going over to meet him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if? Gives me all the bad what ifs in my head. I'm like, oh my goodness. I told him a couple of times, I'm like, babe, on the show this happened, and like, it didn't work out. What if we don't work out? Oh my gosh, it was bad.
Now we just watch it. We're so glad. Like, it makes me feel good about our relationship even more. Like, we love our relationship, but then we see what's going on over there. We're like, oh my God, we're nothing like that. Thank goodness.
I agree. It's kind of a nice escape now that it's not so much a realistic thing for me since he's here and I've got him and we're married. I wish they talked more about the process.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't like about that show. It's more like, oh, the drama and oh, this and the fake and I wish for those of us actually dealing with this, like they showed, even if it was a completely different show, to actually cater to those of us who want to know more about the process.
Mhm.
I don't feel like they show enough about the process or where they're at now in the process, unless you go on to like their Instagram or something like that.
The only thing that I would say that I really identify with is those airport scenes where it's either the happiest moment because your spouse is going to be with you or the saddest moment because you guys are leaving each other. Those things I'm like constantly crying about.
On our last it was when we sent off your application, right? Because we had just done the learning the dance with Candace.
Yeah.
So where Lexi goes to dance is actually um, her friend from Cheers' mom opened her own dance studio. And so she started dancing with her. Well, she also does private lessons for like choreographed dances and whatnot for quinceañeras or weddings. And I thought, how cool would it be to just all of a sudden bust out with a choreographed dance at our Welsh reception, because they don't think of him as like a dancer or anything, but he actually really likes to groove. He's pretty good at it. So we actually took class with her and learned to dance to Pink's Walk Me Home. And it's a really neat dance. And we had just learned it. And Lexi's like, Mom, will you do the dance? We're in LAX right before he goes up in front of like the Planet Hollywood. And literally we do the dance. And Lexi's like, Mom, you didn't see it, but people were watching you. I think they were recording. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it made me think of like, yeah, those moments when everybody's like saying their goodbyes and stuff. Because here I am crying, but we totally did our little routine there in the airport.
I love that stuff. And luckily I've been the memory, but we don't ever have to like, be doing that airport goodbye thing again. So glad about that.
No, now we get to travel together when we're making flights. Like you guys got to do yours to Hawaii. We're looking forward to, well, Wales really, but Vegas, will be fun. And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get some trips in together. That'll be amazingly fun.
I know. And it was so funny when you were saying when you were entering the country, because the same thing with us, the planes were pretty spaced out because it's COVID and like not everybody was flying into the US with the travel ban. But like instead of spreading out, we were like glued to each other because we're like, this is our first time on the plane. Like, or like one of the first times.
There were 16 people on our flight.
Oh my
We
God.
were on a 787. We had 16 people. That was it. She's like, oh, you guys could spread out. In fact, here, sit in economy plus. I'm like,
No.
you got extra seats in business. Why can't we sit up there? No, but anyway, we were literally glued together because, yeah, it was our first flight together. We were just so excited to be going home together. And it was so funny because I tried to surprise him with a bunch of friends and everybody being there with signs and everything. And I sort of did, but they all got there late. So we're like walking into the parking lot and they're running out of their cars like, hey, I'm like, you guys are supposed to be here 20 minutes ago. I've stalled as long as I could. Oh my goodness. But that was fun. He was surprised and loved like all the welcome signs and stuff like that. So
welcome. And thank you for welcoming us home. Hey, we're all
Thank
here.
you so much.
Yeah.
of course.
Really good.
Well, I remember seeing that on the show, and then also I know how it felt when we got home and had family and friends. And I know you mentioned that you weren't really gonna have anybody, and worked out too. We took you guys home, so you had a ride. You didn't have to pay for a taxi or anything.
No, thank you. That was the sweetest. They made a big sign for us and they took us home. So thank you very much.
Of course.
Well, I'm gonna let you guys go, but sending you really, really big hugs, and hopefully we can get together soon.
Oh, yes. We'll see if you guys are available, and we'll come down and have adult and.
I'll be out for like 6 hours. The way you guys had your first, video chat together, we'll be like there forever.
Sounds good to me. I'm definitely getting a little stir crazy in the house. It's time. I so bad want to get out. You guys be safe and take care. Mwah.
Safe. We love you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Have a good night.